Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for attending Dental.MBA's podcast. My very first experience offering a podcast with my friend. My friend, I'm so excited to see you, Curtis. So everybody who doesn't know Curtis Marshall knows that Curtis is Vice President of Enterprise Partnerships with Dental Intel. I love Dental Intel, the company, so much, and that's why I was thrilled and excited to be able to interview my friend Curtis and have you share information about how practices can lessen their stress and improve their bottom line at the same time and not have to do all the hard work of that information gathering that Dental Intel does for you. So let's go ahead and get started with this Q&A session. I like to keep it very conversational. And Curtis, I know you have a lot of information to share in our short time together. So tell me a little bit about, first of all, tell everyone a little bit about you. How'd you get started in this dental industry?
Yeah, but this industry, boy, it's been a blessing to me. I absolutely love the dental field. My whole family, we're actually into it. In-laws, sister-in-law, brother-in-laws, parents-in-laws, my wife, even my daughters, they're starting to get into dentistry. And so much so, Lois, that we love it so much that when we're together as a family, we have a safe word to stop talking about dental. If somebody says Oklahoma, that means no more dental. Don't talk dental anymore.
It's so hard not to, though, isn't it?
It is. This industry is so good. It's a lot of fun, great people, great things that we're doing for others. And I think that's the reason why it's so great too, is that this industry, it's not just that we're doing something for other people. We're helping increase their oral care. And that's what I was doing in a dental office. I helped a dental office. I started there doing about $1 million a year. And by the time I was done, they were doing over $7 million a year in that one practice. And we were able to clean a lot of mouths, a lot of education. One way that we did that, Lois, was we did a free day of dentistry every May. We told the whole community, hey, if you need dentistry done, come in this whole day. We brought in lots of doctors because we have 15 chairs. We brought in a lot of doctors and just said, hey, it's free dental. And that's been a really huge part of my life.
Opportunity to give back. And I love your historical background in the dental industry and that you managed a dental practice yourself. So, and then Dental Intel was birthed. And that's what I love about you in this company is that you come from a place where you actually have been there, done that. So dental offices that utilize Dental Intel know that Dental Intel comes from a place where you worked in dental practice solving all of these dilemmas that they're going through right now. So tell me a little bit more about what Dental Intel offers in the way of helping a practice, number one, improve their bottom line, but number two, keeping their schedules full. That's a really, really important element, I believe, in Dental Intel.
100%. So Dental Intel, we are the leading software for dental offices to increase patient care. Plain and simple, leading software to increase patient care. And so what we do is we gather all the data from like your Dentrix, EagleSoft, whatever you might have. We pull that data information, clean it up, and basically present it and say, do this today. I remember when I was running the dental office myself, right? I would often be on the phone with somebody, hang up, and the moment I hang up, I'm like, oh, I forgot to ask them for dollars because they owe us money, right? Or they leave out the front door because the front back office walks them up and they leave out the front door. And then the hygienist comes over and goes, did you schedule them for hygiene? And I'm like, oh, no, I didn't, right? All these great opportunities that were just slipping through because it was so hard to get that information. And that's what Dental Intel is able to do is we're giving you the information and saying, do this with this patient today.
Almost like your invisible assistant. Would you agree? It's like Dental Intel is working in the background to help you function way more efficiently without having to use your memory banks to remember to do all the things you were supposed to do before that patient leaves the practice that day.
Yeah, because anybody can, I mean, if somebody says, oh, hey, it's just giving reports. Well, yeah, anybody can provide reports. Even your practice management system can provide reports. It's what to do with that information that's most
Mhm.
important, right? It's not about what happened in the past. It's now looking forward and saying, what should I do today?
Where are our missed opportunities or our future successes, so to speak? What would you say is the hardest thing in a dental practice, or the thing they get the most frustrated by that causes them the most stress? What would you say one of those things is?
Well, that's interesting you say that because I was reading a post the other day about stress and fear. And ultimately, what the post was saying is if you don't know what's going on, if you don't know how to solve it, it's stress. If you do know how to solve it, it's excitement, right? So especially with MBA, your MBA clientele here, everybody, all these dentists. So when you're stressed, that's because you don't know you don't know how to perform or what to do. That's why you get that anxiety, that stress, right? But when you know what to do, then it's a lot simpler. Often a point in case for myself, right? The dentist would come to me and go, Curtis, you need to schedule more patients. I have a bunch of holes in my schedule. And like, I am working so hard. I don't know what to do. So I'm just going to try everything. I'm just going to keep trying and keep trying and keep trying. Well, what if instead I was able to know and have information of saying, do this to get more people in the chairs. Do this to get the patients to accept more. That's the importance, and we really should have always had in the past, but it's now 2021. We're past COVID even. We should have this information, and it is available through the software.
And that's the thing. The thing that I love so much is, and I know you and I are both huge fans of having a morning huddle. Well, you can't have a morning huddle without really good, accurate data, information, so that you can avoid those hiccups in the day. And one of the things I love about Dental Intel is that it's like a predictor. I come to the morning huddle. Where do we have our unexpected openings today? Oh, Dental Intel said there are 5 patients on the schedule who are overdue for hygiene, who are coming in for their operative care. Let's see if we can put them in. And it identifies those for the practice so that the practice can still run very efficiently without making 5,000 phone calls to try and fill the schedule. And I agree with you, Curtis. I think one of the biggest stressors in a dental office is that open time, and open chair is temporary unemployment. And so Dental Intel has built these processes in place of, hey, so these many patients left without scheduling an appointment. So tomorrow, let's bring up in the morning huddle, where are our unexpected openings or our potential for filling those appointments? And Dental Intel gives you that data. But even more than that, there are financial statistics that they help the practice track and build on. You don't want to be a happy accident. Would you agree?
Oh, and unfortunately, that's the blessing and the curse within dentistry, right? You can make a lot of mistakes and still do better than your neighbor,
right?
Who's a manager at Costco or whatever, right? But the reality is that there's a lot of great opportunity that we don't want to be a happy accident. 100%, 1,000% actually.
For sure. And Dental Intel affords the opportunity to let the numbers tell you a story, and then guide you to what you do with that story. So tell me some of the statistics, the daily statistics that Dental Intel reports to a dental practice that helps tell the story of how they can grow their practice in the most efficient way.
100%. So you kind of said that a lot of people do morning huddles and that we're a big fan. When I was doing a morning huddle, typically what we did was we pulled data for yesterday, say we produced this much, we collected this much, right? And at that point, we either felt like heroes or we felt like dirt, one of the two.
Micromanaged the information.
Right. Okay. So we looked at yesterday and we said, all right, we did this. Then we look at today, and what we do is we go over all the patients. This patient's coming in, and remember, she's probably going to bring in all of her kids. So let's make sure to take care of her kids and not make them so they don't make too big of a mess. The second patient, this is doctor's neighbor. Let's make sure to tell him to ask him if they saw the new flowers at doctor's office, his house, or we're going through the patients, each one, right? Well, instead of that, because you have a lot of patients, and then all of a sudden it just becomes a talking huddle rather than a productive huddle,
Correct.
right?
Right.
So in reality, there's a lot of great metrics that you could be looking at, but ultimately, in the morning, the main numbers that myself and that we do provide are simple. How many patients left yesterday without an appointment?
Yes.
And who are they? There's 3 reasons why somebody had an appointment yesterday and they don't today. One is they're a new patient. So new patients are different than your existing patients because you're trying to woo them,
Correct.
right? So that's one
Right.
category of your patients that left yesterday without an appointment. Second is the patients who just your returning patients, patients who your active patients that have been coming to you. Why did they leave, or why did they not leave why did they leave without an appointment?
Right.
And the last one, this one people just forget about, and it's because it's very difficult for any front desk to actually look back into yesterday and find this last one. And the last one is patients who broke an appointment and do not have a future appointment, right?
Yes. Right.
So depending on your system, if you break it, it might disappear. Some systems, it leaves it on there with an X, right?
It puts it in that dreaded unscheduled list.
But yes, and that unscheduled list is this big.
Yes, many pages of patients who have canceled but not rescheduled that fall into the abyss.
Right. So you should know every day how many patients yesterday left without an appointment and then discover why. Fix the reason right away rather than don't talk about all the other reasons, just the patients yesterday. Hey, why did Sue leave without an appointment?
Yes.
Why did Jim break an appointment and not reschedule? What happened, team? And it's not a, how dare you? It's just a, hey, we want to fix it. So that's the first thing to look at. Any other things for yesterday that you would like to see? But that's the biggest one for yesterday for me.
For sure. If they came in for an appointment and they needed to schedule another appointment and they didn't, that to me is the ultimate. Use dental intel as the best secret weapon, and then marry that with really improved, great verbal skills, right? So the reason they didn't make an appointment might most times be tied with, we didn't know how to ask the right question of the patient. So when you take the what and you keep that what in its most current status with the dental intel information that can be shared at the morning huddle, and you act on it now versus waiting for it to age in an unscheduled list, you're going to be able to reschedule or contact that patient or get them back on the schedule sooner rather than later, or at the very, very least, address the why. Why didn't they? Right? So
as an MBA, as people who have MBAs, that's what they're always taught is don't look at way in the past and say, hey, we need to fix what happened way in the past. No, we need to fix what's happening right now. And that was yesterday.
For sure.
Good point there, Lois.
It's a great predictor of future actions. So if you, and that's why I call the unscheduled list the great abyss, because just the fact that a patient broke their appointment and didn't reschedule puts them on a list of the we're never going to call them because we frankly don't have time, versus dental intel revealed yesterday's patients that didn't reschedule. That's a hot commodity in my opinion. And so if you can catch that early and often, you're going to be able to get that patient back on the schedule and truly address why they didn't. If they didn't reschedule, it was because nobody asked me to. Easy fix, right? If they didn't reschedule because they lost trust or somehow were disappointed with their appointment that day, also, wouldn't you agree, super important and a marketing concept to address so that we can correct the behavior or correct the scenario and move forward? There's so much that dental intel does, way more than just numbers, although you do have so many different areas that you can address that will identify a trend in a practice way before it becomes a trend. Dental intel is the future trend predictor. That's my opinion.
And it's anything you'd want. So whatever any information you want to see and know, it's there and available. And this is So that's for yesterday too, in the morning huddle. There's some interesting things for today and tomorrow, but I know we need, and maybe we save that for after the break, because I know we have to do a break here soon, but do you want to save that till after the break
Let's take a break. Let's take a quick break and hear from our sponsors, and then we'll come right back.
Awesome. Can't wait.
This podcast is sponsored by eAssist Dental Solutions. eAssist helps dentists collect 100% of what dentists are owed by insurance companies. Their dental billing experts work with dentists and their teams to ensure the claim submission process is smooth and that dentists and their staff can focus on patient care. If you or someone you know is in need of assistance with the dental billing process, call 1-844-eAssist or visit dentalbilling.com to find out more.
Okay, so now we're back. So reveal to me the secret sauce. Let me know how these practices can use dental intel as their most amazing secret weapon in not only improving their bottom line, but to bring that happiness, low stress factor back into the practice.
Absolutely. So we talked about yesterday before, right? And there's lots of things you could look at yesterday. I gave you my favorite number, which was patients who didn't schedule yesterday, didn't reschedule, that were in the office yesterday.
For sure.
And there's 3 areas there. If you missed it, rewind. Go listen to it.
It was good stuff. Rewind for sure.
But for today, Lois, you mentioned there's 4 big areas, right? There's patients that are coming in today that don't have a hygiene appointment, right?
Yes. Right.
There's patients that have unscheduled treatment. So out of your 20 you're coming in, how many dollars and who are they? Rather than opening each one, then opening the treatment planner to see it, you're able to see those exact patients quickly and easily, click of a button. These are the patients, right?
Yes.
The third are the patients who owe you dollars.
Right.
Okay. And the fourth is really super important and one that we kind of forget about. And that is, Lois, if you're coming into the office today, is your husband scheduled?
Right. Other family members.
Unscheduled family members. Because
Right.
what are the chances, if you're coming into my office today, what are the chances that I'm going to be able to talk with you? 100%. I'm going to talk with you. You're coming in.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
So that's a great opportunity for me to say, hey, how's your husband? We haven't seen him, but it's been about a year. Like, oh yeah, the COVID was really hurting him, but he's ready to come back. Right. Let's schedule. Before we get you back, we get him on the phone. Let's get him scheduled.
Yeah.
Okay. Those 4 areas are key. But then we took it one step further, Lois. You took it one step further. There, you can then open this schedule. And if you have an opening for today, like somebody not scheduled, you click on it. And based off of what's happened in the past, based on the days that patients like to come in, based off of reimbursement rates, based off of AR balances, making sure that we're finding patients that don't have a balance, right? Patients who need treatment or whatever. There's a whole bunch of factors.
Right.
But you click on the opening and we give you a small list of patients that would best fit that schedule. Rather than searching through 600 patients,
wow.
we give you a small list of saying, these are the patients and rank them. We think it's best. This Jim is the best and Sally's the next and Mary and Tom, those are in order. We think they will be the best for that specific time, specific day, and with that specific provider. It is
That's one of the best features you just revealed on this podcast. And I believe right now it's worth repeating. Tell our listeners exactly how they can find that list. That to me, that's golden. That instead of going to your unscheduled list that has 600 names on it, you're telling me that they can click a button and reveal in that list a small list of names of patients who would fit that kind of appointment that you have an opening for.
Absolutely. So
mind-blowing.
Yeah, you either click on the morning huddle, the view that we give give you those 4 areas I just talked about. Patients who are coming in today that have unscheduled family members, that have unscheduled treatment, that owe you dollars, and that don't have a hygiene appointment. We give you those names. of the patients who are coming in. And then right below that, there's the calendar saying, hey, here's your calendar. And there's an opening. There's a couple openings. You click on the opening and the opening says, is this for a hygienist or a doctor? Who's this for? I want to fill this for a hygienist. Great. For a hygienist, these are the small list of patients we think would best fit that schedule, that day, that time, that amount. And it's been a game changer for these offices.
You just defined dental intel. Dental intelligence.
Who cares what happened in the past, Lois?
Right.
You can't, unless you have a time machine.
What happened in the past. You can't change that.
Unless you're Marty McFly, you cannot change the past.
No, you can't go back to the future.
No, so we need to know what to do today. And that's exactly the difference between reports and any other software and dental intel, is that we're helping the people who want to take care of their patients. We're helping them take care of them today.
Which brings to mind, the treatment plan report that almost every dental software has. You can generate a treatment plan report. It's garbage in, garbage out, right? Dental Intel takes actual patients on the schedule that happen to need another appointment, or it takes patients who have been in, who have diagnosed dentistry, a short list of recent patients, and it really narrows down the list so it doesn't feel so overwhelming. And I would imagine, in my experience, actually, as a consultant, one of the biggest complaints I get from dentists is this whole process seems so overwhelming that it paralyzes me. I don't know where to start. And then it trickles down to the team who, in addition to the doctor feeling stressed, the team now feels stressed. We don't know where to start. I've called I don't know how many times you've heard this. I've called every patient on the list and every single person tells me they're not available. Well, you haven't called everybody on the list, because you've called everybody on the first 3 pages of your unscheduled list, maybe.
And you only talked based off of numbers, you only talked to either 10 to 20% of those patients that you called.
For certain. And so that then leads to the why I love to teach verbal skills, even when you're contacting patients. And now you have this amazing instrument of dental intel that will mine for the information and mine for the patients who need appointments and mine for the patients who owe money and mine for the patients who are overdue for hygiene, et cetera. Now, what do you do with that? Make that phone call, and you're going to make 3 phone calls and then you're going to give up. You have to marry that with the right verbal skills. So in getting the accurate, up-to-date, and current data out of dental intel, and then you contact the patients, instead of saying, I'm calling to see if you want to schedule, I'm calling about your appointment. Then compel them to call you back if you're leaving a message, right? So dental intel gives me the most accurate, up-to-date, and predictable data. And then I get to marry that with using the right words at the right time to compel the patient to schedule. But it also, would you agree, Dental Intel also offers this amazing service for patients who are coming in for their appointments that day, just as you spoke before, other family members that might be due, they have a previous balance, et cetera. And it gives the team the secret assistant, secret weapon of Dental Intel to be able to have those conversations real time, in front of the patient, live in-person conversations that in Dental Intel is designed to recover the money and get it off your books and into the bank, to recover the appointment and get that production back on the books. You can't collect from what you don't produce. And don't you feel it starts with getting that appointment on the books? So I love the concept that Dental Intel has brought to the table, and you're constantly evolving. Dental Intel didn't just build a service and then let the service sit. You guys are constantly evolving and coming up with solutions to the roadblocks that dental offices experience every single day. It's one of the reasons I'm such a huge fan and was so excited to be able to interview you live and in person today. In the very beginning of Dental Intel, you were it. You were it. And so tell me about forecasting month ahead, a week ahead, getting the production on the books, like in the future. What does Dental Intel offer in the way of being able to mine for that data, not just for today, but for the future? How does Dental Intel assist a practice in making sure, number one, the money gets off the books, but number two, the production actually gets on the books in the future?
So anyone that talks about MBAs or talks about business, right? they're always talking about forecasting. They're always talking about what can I do today to prepare tomorrow to be the best, right?
Right.
I mean, you see this, it's ever since we were little kids, right? Hey, in order to have a best day tomorrow, I want you to lay out all your clothes for tomorrow, right? I want you to lay them all out so that when you go to bed and you wake up, you don't have to make that decision. They're already done, right? I've got 3 little girls. They do that every night. They lay out all their clothes, get their sneakers, their socks, right? So the same goes though here for business, any business, and with dental offices, is that you first need to know who's working for how many hours they're working in the future, right? Not just, hey, just fill the schedule, because if we just fill the schedule without knowing who's working, then it's going to be very difficult. So you need to first know, hey, who's working in the future? Is doctor taking time off next Friday? So forth. That's the first. And that's data in. We talked about data in earlier, right? That's your data going in. Now that you have that information, you can now see, all right, doctor's working 8 hours on this day and the hygienist is working 8 as well. So that means we need to be producing X amount of dollars.
Right.
Are we scheduled? Not really the schedule being full, but just is every day in the future scheduled to goal, right? And you should be scheduled to go at least, what would you say? I personally say 2 weeks. What would you say?
For sure.
Scheduled to goal.
You want to be scheduled to goal on average. Your average daily production needs to be at or above the goal for the next 2 weeks.
Okay, good. So we're on the same path there, right? So next 2 weeks ahead. Now, if next Wednesday's not scheduled to goal, remember I talked about that morning huddle for today? Well, you can get onto what's called my schedule and go to that day and do the same thing. There's an opening for that day on Wednesday, that day, that time, that doctor, who's the best list for me to be contacting. On that day, on Wednesday, what patients are coming in that have unscheduled treatment?
Right.
Well, maybe I can call up Mary and say, hey, Mary, you're coming in for a hygiene appointment. And a doctor just so happened, this rarely happens, but he just so happened that he has an opening at the same time. Would you like to get your crown, me to schedule your crown to get done?
Yes.
That is the next step, is understanding who's working and then making sure everyone's scheduled to goal for the next 2 weeks. And really for hygiene, I would say next at least 2 months. So you could do those 2.
And that's where the element of pre-blocking your schedule and pre-predicting how you're going to be able to achieve the consistent number to reach that goal. And it's really important that you bring up setting goals, because some practices shy away from goal setting because they think goals are about making a boatload of money. It's not. It's a way to measure how you can stay consistently efficient while at the same time conserving your energy, right? So if you have a schedule full of crown inserts, and then you have that one appointment available equivalent to a crown, you can balance not only the number of patients coming in that day, but you can balance that with producing at or above the goal to protect the integrity of making sure that things stay completely even tempered, right? So you have to make sure that goals, that your heart is in the right place for why you set a goal. You have to make sure that thank you, Julie. The one thing you want to make sure is as you're setting goal and you're moving the practice towards that next level, you don't produce out of the gate $7 million a year. It's not going to happen. You can't wiggle your nose and say,
I wish.
We're going to produce $7 million. And
rub your lamp.
Your intention in producing $7 million is the reason we want to produce that is to make a boatload of money. Then your heart's not in the right place, right?
And you're not going to provide patient care. Those patients aren't going to come back. It's not about doing the dollars. It's about hitting a goal. Same thing with kids, right? If you don't have a goal to have good grades, then hopefully they pass. Otherwise, you need to have a goal in all aspects of your life.
So my philosophy, and I know this is your philosophy as well, Curtis, is a monetary goal isn't for the end result of making a boatload of money. It's a side benefit of really good practice goals to manage the energy and productivity and making sure that you have a happy, balanced outcome. A way to measure that happy, balanced outcome is to set goals. Goals allow us to keep the story of the energy in the practice even keeled. And I think that's such an important message for practice owners. It's such an important message for the teams. Make sure that goals are shared with the team, which Dental Intel has in spades. Every single team member can be able to utilize Dental Intel to be able to see how on track they are with the goals, which will then translate to the energy level in a practice. So as you mentioned, you have an opening for a crown equivalent, you have 6 crown seats scheduled that day. Those 6 crown seats alone can cause a lot of stress in the practice because it's that many times you're having to turn the room around. It increases your expenses in turning the room around many, many times. So you want to balance that productivity and measure that against a goal to ensure better energy, right?
So key. And oftentimes we don't want to share goals or production with our team, but if they don't know, then they can't help.
It can't make a difference if they don't know what they did in this
Yes.
process to get them to that number.
Yep. And that's the beauty behind understanding exactly where you are and what you need to do today. You've put it in a bow and wrapped it all up, Lois. Really good work. And I hope that there's people picked up some really good stuff on that.
I hope they did too. And so if someone wants to know more information about Dental Intel, how do they find you?
Really simple. Either call Lois. She'll tell you how to get a hold of us. Just feel free to go to our websites, Dental.com, Dental.com. Request a demo, and we'll show you exactly what the product is and how because there are new softwares too that we're integrating, like online scheduling and appointment reminders and patient forms, a whole bunch of other information to tie it all together so that it makes your job easier as the owner or front desk.
And it just to tie this up in a nice cherry on top of the sundae, Dental Intel and eAssist are really, really great partners. eAssist Dental Solutions loves Dental Intel.
We love them, by the way.
Like family.
Yeah.
And so I want to thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to share your words of wisdom on this fabulous Dental.MBA podcast. I hope that you have a great week. And those of you who need to know more information about Dental Intel, please contact Curtis Marshall. Thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me today, Curtis. I loved it. It seems like we have so much more to say. I am hoping that you will join us on a future podcast.
Love it. Thanks, Lois.